Chuck, I've been public on the fact that I'm waiting for someone to convince me that we don't live in a simulation.
I've heard you say it.
The arguments put forth have been quite convincing to me. And most of the best arguments are traceable to a guy named Nick Bostrom, a philosopher at the University of Oxford.
Okay.
Here's the argument. Ready?
Go ahead.
Our computing power is growing rapidly.
Right.
We create simulations of worlds. We have video games with characters that are inside the video game.
Right.
Imagine a day where you can simulate a world so perfectly with life forms, humans, so well that you can recreate every single neurosynaptic thought you could have, but now you're in the simulation on the computer.
So,
including the perception of free will.
Well, there you have it. So now you would have enough computing power to imbue the Sims inside of the program with all of the human traits that we possess now.
Correct. Not only our human traits, but the world.
But the world.
The world itself.
Right.
And you don't have to have all the world existing there at all times.
Right.
That might be an unrealistic amount of computing power.
Right.
You just need
enough of the world that they see around them.
That they see around them.
Right.
So you want to start digging. And
that's so funny.
And haven't put the earth there. There's a flag that goes up in the programmer, and they say, need more earth. So they put earth beneath you while you can keep digging.
It's like the Truman Show.
Yeah, well, for example.
Right.
Okay.
Cool.
Or does Minecraft, you can build
or
stuff?
Minecraft.
Right.
Oh, that is Minecraft.
Right. Okay.
God, that guy's a brilliant genius. Okay.
So, and we went to the moon. It's okay, let's make sure the moon is there.
Right.
Okay.
Maybe that's why we can't travel faster than the speed of light. Because if we could, we'd be able to get to another galaxy
before they could program
that galaxy. So much fun.
So the programmer put in that limit.
Put in the limit
because that's the fastest they can get.
We can't program fast enough. So we put in a limiter. The speed of light is a limiter so that you can't get to the next thing before we build it.
All right, so let me finish. That's good. That's good, Chuck.
All right.
So let me finish this. So now that world evolves and they develop computing power.
Right.
And they say, we want to play video games.
So now we're going to make a world.
So then they make a world and they have sufficient computing power that they invent to create a whole universe within their computers.
Okay.
And then
they make a world.
And then they make a world all the way on down.
Right.
It could be hundreds, thousands, billions. Infinite.
All right, so far this sounds like it still works.
That's fine. So now close your eyes, throw a dart. Which of these universes are you going to land in? The first one that's real or the gazillion that are not?
Well, yeah.
Just statistically. Okay.
Am I drinking when we're playing this darts game? Because
then you missed entirely
everything. No.
So
yeah,
there's something called Bayesian statistics where you're allowed to introduce information that you already have available to you, even if you didn't measure it to be true. We establish the likelihood that one day we'll have the power to do this.
Right.
And then that factors into these statistics.
Okay.
So there's 1 in a zillion, you're the real universe, and 999 zillion to 1
that's your simulation.
That convinced me. And I don't want to be convinced. I didn't like it. And I was just begging for somebody to give me an argument that was cogent enough to undermine that entire reasoning, and I just came across one.
Who? Okay.
It's a good friend of mine, Rich Gott.
All right.
He was a colleague of mine back when I was at Princeton.
All right.
Deep thinker, likes calculating the ends of things.
Nice.
With Bayesian statistics. He's heavily quoted in this book, The Doomsday Calculation, and William Poundstone is a smart guy unto himself, and I am now convinced.
Now you're convinced.
Are you ready?
Okay, go ahead.
What do all these So here is what convinced me we're not in a simulation.
Okay.
Are you seated?
All right. I'm seated.
Are you hold on.
I'm going to hold.
Okay. All right. What do all those simulated universes have in common?
They're simulations.
They have the power to simulate themselves.
That's what I'm saying. They're simulations.
No, they have the power to simulate themselves.
Right. Okay. Yes.
That's what they all have in common.
They make a simulation.
They have that power.
Right. Exactly.
To simulate themselves exactly. Do we have that power now?
No, we don't.
No, we don't.
Which means that we can't send it. We can't send ourselves into the future as a simulation
because we don't have that power yet.
So we can't continue the chain.
Wait, so either we are the real one,
right,
or we're the one in the chain that's still evolving to try to then make a simulation within their own world.
Right.
So the odds of us being a simulation goes from a gazillion to 1. I mean, to the likelihood of
gazillion.
All right.
It flips.
It flips. 50-50.
Wow.
And I'm good with that. That changes my life completely.
Yeah.
Okay? And no longer are your kids going to say, Dad, it doesn't matter. We're in a simulation anyway. No, you got an argument now. You have a rebuttal.
Exactly.
Now, a quick one.
I have to do my homework.
I go, ready?
Go ahead.
Maybe these simulators have a side activity where they like reminiscing about days before you could simulate. That would be us.
So now we're Donkey Kong.
Donkey Kong or Pong.
We're classic.
Yeah.
Classic gameplay.
So maybe we're just entertainment, like a historical exercise.
Right.
That's possible in principle. However, let's look at our own conduct with that regard.
Okay.
All right, think of a movie as a simulation, just for the sake of
Which
this
it kinda
conversation,
is.
which it kind of
Kinda
is.
is.
Ask yourself, how many movies have been made in a time before we ever knew how to make movies? Relative to movies made in the era where we know how to make movies. You can do the numbers. It's small. Yes,
sure.
the Spartacus, there's the OK Corral.
Three Musketeers.
Those exist.
That type of stuff.
Okay?
Okay.
If we are any measure of the incentives of creating simulations, which all we can do with movies at this point, then they might have some historical but there's way more interesting things and stories to tell in the era of simulations that exist post-simulation.
Right. And yeah.
So even if there are some period pieces that we might be, still most of these would be universes made after they could simulate themselves.
Right.
If our movie-making habits are any indication of anything.
So the chances are we're not a little offshoot, like a little
Statistically.
side project.
We could be, just statistically, it's
Probably
not
not.
likely.
Right.
Because we're throwing darts.
Right.
And most of the stories they're going to simulate are going to be the ones that are in the era of the time they could simulate themselves.
So that still brings us back to we're probably either the first or we're on our way to being the next.
On our way to being the next. That's
Right.
correct.
One or the other.
That's more likely than any other possibility here.
Wow.
And so I can now rest well at night.
So no simulation.
Yeah, I'm good. I think I'm real. I think you're real. I think we're good.
Well, real recognize real. So yes.
I forgot about that expression. Real recognize real.
Real recognize real.
You
So
got
there
it.
you go.
Chuck, fist
Yeah.
bump on
Boom,
that.
boom.
Star Talk.
Yeah.
Signing out.